Oi oi Savaloy, check out that for an absolutely mega carp. Jet black, pristine condition, and the first one from a new water, always the most important one. Now when we put out the last issue, I had a message from Alfie Russell to say he'd like to come on the show, share his story. So yeah, we'll start this month's show at Walthamstow with Alfie in the car park. Sit back and enjoy. This is Carp Angle, episode 15. What are you thinking then?
What, where to go?
Yeah.
Just have a little look. I suppose Dan Wildboar's been over here with Tom Maker the last couple of days on the lower. I don't think they've caught nothing.
Oh really?
But my mate was saying that they're in them snags there.
Right.
The road bank snags.
That pipe's always good for a bite, isn't it?
Yeah, it's worth. That's why I was a bit like, I need some bait because there'd be an opportunity, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Instead of, I've always sling singles out fishing over here. But you never know. You'd always like to think there's a chance if you can get one feeding in the edge or something, so let's do it.
Alfie, where's the rest of your kit?
Well, that's it.
You're joking, aren't you?
No. I was actually going to bring my electric scooter, but I thought you're not bringing one, so it's a bit unfair. I'll be well ahead of the race, won't I? This is all I ever take, to be fair.
Look,
Little
one
rods.
bag, one rod holdall. I'm not even fishing and I've got more kit than Alfie. Skills, mate. I wish I could take a leaf out of your book.
Got to be done, innit?
So, the old lower. You done much over here, Alfie?
Do you know what? I haven't fished a hell of a lot over here. I did around 14, 15. I was doing a bit up here, getting the train. And there was a lot more fish in here then. There was a lot of stockies. I think I'd done like 4 or 5 trips. I had 22 fish. There was an old bird table out in the middle. A few old like Stowe anglers will remember that. Good area. And I had one original out of them 20 odd fish, which was like a 19 pounder. And yeah, just got distracted by other venues really. There was a fish kill over here not long after because I passed my driving test, and I always remember because it gave me the Raven Hump and a heartbreak that the year I passed my driving test, there was a fish kill on this complex, but there's still some lovely old fish in here. And to be fair, it wiped out a lot of the younger stocked fish, so you got a lot of the still originals about, so that's what we like fishing for.
It's not the most peaceful spot here right next to the road, is it?
No, it's not, but I'm used to it.
Someone's got a Jamaican woodbine on the go.
Yeah, you can smell that nice and early, can't you? Probably him in the digger, which is fully illegal. But yeah, it's a lovely place. Changed a bit. It's public now, so from certain times you get a lot of public, families, joggers, cyclists come round. But I still think banks like this and that middle causeway bank on the lower is angler priority, as they call it. So still get a little bit of peace and quiet from the public if that's not your cup of tea, but I'm used to that, so it doesn't really bother me. Wherever they are, I'll fish for them. But yeah, just gonna have a little look, little walk and a little look. Horrible blue-green algae at the minute.
That's the beauty of this complex though, isn't it? You know, you've got so much water to look at and try and find an opportunity somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I said to you. I actually got rid of my car, got a van earlier on in the week, so I had my dinghy blown up in the back of it. I usually take it as and when in the car, but I had it on me, went to a little park and unloaded the mother load of all my bait that I had inside the van and forgot to bring some today. So thank God you saved the day with a bit of pellet and some boilies in case we see any in maybe the Coppermill stream or something.
I was going to blag it for you, Alfie. I was going to say you set yourself a challenge of coming fishing without any bait.
Yeah. To be fair, the Stowe's well known for single hook bait fishing, and that's what I've caught them on mainly in the past here. I think that was one that showed out there.
Sweet, right. Carry on mooching and
yeah, carry on having a little look. See, what's that splash in the edge? Again, down there. Can't imagine that's a fish, probably. Still bubbling further down though. That's definitely carp further down and or something. But we're seeing a couple out here. Gonna sling one on that almighty disturbance in the edge, which I presume is a carp as well.
Must have been, mustn't it?
Must have been, yeah. There's bubbling out there about 100 yards, I can see.
Oh, a bit more bubbling where that big one showed.
Yeah. There's stuff going on down here. So, yeah, we'll get a couple of rods out, or a rod out at least. Keep watching. Definitely something having a go down there. It's getting me excited. But we're fishing for pressured carp now. And I can often get a bit sidetracked into thinking they're as thick as the carp I usually fish for, but they're not. They can be clever, can't they? These pressured ones. So a couple of blobs of putty. Presentation's key, I think. I was having this conversation with my mate Dan the other day. Why are carp are easy to catch? Why don't people catch them? Well, it's presentation, isn't it? You're not presented or you're not on them. If they're sucking your rigging and you're presented, you're going to catch one. Used a lot of bottom baits in my past few years now, Joe. Gone back to them. What did you first start using when you first started carp fishing? Oh, leg clips and bottom baits. Well, I tell you what, since I went back to using them, I haven't looked back.
What makes me laugh is hardly anyone uses them.
No.
But they're feeding the carp them all the time.
Yeah. Koi was phenomenal. When I started fishing the river, I was getting the odd bite and that, got them proper baiting campaign, you know, like last year. Had it proper rocking, started using bottom baits and leg clips again. Went from catching 1 to 2 a night to like 6 or 7. And progressively it was good, do you know what I mean? It didn't die off or anything.
Yeah, I'm a leg clip man.
Are ya?
It's just easier if I'm using a zig or a solid bag or a spinner rig. And
I watched carp in the edge quite a lot, especially with choddies, and they throw them a load more than what you suspect. I know that's why probably Shelley uses a razor sharp hook, because
I just feel that little prick and...
Yeah, that's it on them chods, but I know that's just like a simple little standard bottom bait. Most people, blowback rig is called, most people would silicone or rig ring. I just tie a little overhand granny knot and look. It's the exact same.
Do you reckon that savage liner was you getting your pants pulled down in?
I don't think so, because them hooks are razor sharp. When I say razor, razor. Very, very sharp. So I would like to believe I haven't had my pants pulled down. I'm just thinking, do I stick a third out? There's bubbling coming up further down. Tempted to stick one off them snags. And maybe stand a little bit closer to the rods there. This one I'll stick a buzzer in, it's open water and we're only 10 yards there. But you want to be on your rods if you're fishing close to snags, you can't be wandering really. Mind you, could stick him out and stick the rod here, couldn't I?
Yeah. Do what you want, you're Alfie Russell.
No, you've got to have a bit of etiquette though over here, do you know what I mean? You might, I know no one's here, but you might get someone, oh, I want to fish there, right? And 15 yards down. I've just crept to the river, just literally, the rods are right there and it's backs onto, runs behind this lower maynard. And put a bit of bait on a little gravelly area this morning and it looks like it's gone. You had a walk up there, Joe, and said you see a couple of carp, so they're always moving through here.
Love seeing carp in a clear river.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Majestic.
Yeah. It's amazing. So yeah, I've just put a couple of bags of pellet down. I can see that pellet clear as. Yeah, if anything's mooching, having a little nosy, then there'd be a good chance, I think, of maybe nicking one out of here. A lovely jet black mirror just stuck his head out, just up the river to the right there. Pellet's still there, but I had a little walk up and there's a few carp moving up and down further up, so it's gone a bit dead here. And I'll reel these in. I've got a nice short, sharp bottom bait. I'm gonna whip that on. And yeah, hopefully just something passing, sees it and drops down. And it's very high pressure today. It's gonna be very tricky. But yeah, I think that is gonna be our best bet. If one drops down and sucks that in, there shouldn't be much getting away with that. But let me get these rods in and get a few traps set. There's a clear spot over the back there. That's a good mirror. They're quite close to the bottom. I'd imagine if I can get this rig over onto one of them spots, I'll get a chance. I'll put a couple of rods along here. It's quite a long section. And there'll be carp swimming up and down this constantly. A little bit more shaded, a little bit of a deeper, in a bit of a deeper area that as well. It's going to be tricky. There was another few spots closer. They've just swam up to the top. Let's see if I can get that in there. That looks prime, Joseph, doesn't it?
There's the one went, mate.
So, that went bang on. Bit of a splosh, but what can you do? I flicked my back wind on there. We're gonna
have fun netting one with this fence here, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we will. All right, so on with the back lead. It's a bit of a bow there, but got a 3.5 ounce lead on, so I'll be able to hold. Let's check. just a bit of concealment really. And I'll just pop that just on them swan mussels there. I'm not fussed about it. Oh, no, look, nice ones just swam past. This is the thing, it might be that they're not up for it, but a lot of the I always say it, that pink colour, I find it hard to resist that. Leave it as a Sam Dingle. Might try to get a couple of half baits around it, just for a little bit of smell.
Well, we knew it was going to be a tricky one today, didn't we, mate?
Yeah, them conditions, they're not in our favour. This morning it was nice, but the pressure's through the roof. It's nearly 1,030. And then the sun come out, it's got a bit more cloud cover now. And we moved off the lower onto the copper mill. And yeah, there was a group of little carp up here, 5 or 6 strong, but seemed to have dwindled down to just 2 commons that have sat in that top corner for the last 45 minutes. So I think a move is probably our best bet. We'll probably go over the road, have a little wander about, see what's mooching. If we can find something, we'll move on to them. And yeah, if not, I've got another river close by, might be worth a look. Last Chance Saloon. But yeah.
This did look like it was well worth a go, didn't it? You know, there are a couple of fish about still, aren't there?
It did, and I fished here in the past often with just a little bottom bait with a little sight topper, and you might get a couple swim past and one grabs it, and out of greediness, and you're away. But it just seemed that they was moving really fast today, sort of a bit skittish, up and down. They obviously get fish for a lot more along here than they used to, but maybe there could be a chance along the river somewhere. Might have to have a little walk up and down and put a bit of mileage in to find them. But yeah, if we can locate them, I'm sure there should be 1 or 2 willing to have a little feed. But yeah, I'll whip that in, whack them rods in a little bag, and have a walk, or hold them. I'll probably hold the rods, to be fair.
That's the beauty of carrying such little tackle, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
It takes you about 1 minute to pack up. Not even that.
I can put the rucksack on my back, put a quiver over my shoulder, and just hold my 3 rods.
And you say you've been going on your electric scooter with your gear recently?
Yeah. I've been going on my electric scooter a lot down the canal. Even over here, I've been bombing about a little bit. Well, I was in the summer. I haven't for a while. Been too busy since starting my little company, but. Yeah,
it's got to be a big edge, isn't it, on these kind of waters?
It is an edge. Since it come public and people cycle and whatnot, it's a big cut through. You get a lot of commuters on their bikes, so you can use a scooter or a bike on the banks that you're allowed to, but you still get around a lot quicker than just walking. So it is an edge. And I just literally put my rucksack on the handlebars, so I haven't even got the weight on my back. And yeah, it's the nuts. I stood up and something bow waved out of the margin here. There was a big plume of fizz up there, went out where we see that sort of wake. Got a flow here, so I'm going to stick heavy lead shot on. Don't want it critically balanced, if I'm honest. I want it to be sat firm. I'm going to tie a couple of quick rigs. We'll probably end up fishing here for the evening, Joe, I think. A few hours.
Certainly looks like the best opportunity we've found.
I think so, but I know that I could cast long, but there's fizz in there as well, look, to the right. Longer rigs down here generally used to fish hellies. So I'll just go for longer hook lengths with them leg clips and pop-ups. Here's one. Tie a couple of others.
One of these has got to go. Right, we've come round to Lake 3 now.
Yeah, we're on the 3 at the minute.
Right up the end, and we found some fish, haven't we?
Yeah, eventually found some. You got two sort of inflows here, haven't you? This one that's on at the minute usually isn't on, but when it is, they tend to flock here. New water coming in from the 5. So yeah, sort of brings food with it, more oxygen, and they like it, so it's rare that it's on.
I've never seen this one on before.
No, like you say, you've been here quite a bit, Joe, as well, like over the years, and never seen it on, so it is quite a rarity. They've put a massive cage around the controls there because anglers were purposely turning it on, knowing that the carp would turn up not long after. So yeah, we're here, found a few fish by this fresh water coming in down the 3. Slung a couple of pop-ups out there and one down the edge because I spooked one as I stood up to test my pop-up.
Keep getting the odd little knock
Yeah,
as well.
keep getting the odd knock. Put a couple of little back leads on. It was deeper out there than I expected and quite firm. I know they've done a lot of works over here, whether they redug it or...
It might even just be if they've, if they're draining that one and they've turned this on and this has been running for a few days. I mean, that's a lot of water kicking out, isn't it?
It is a lot, yeah.
That's going to strip silt, isn't it?
You'd imagine so. I did say to you, because the other culvert, you said you've had a few out of there in the past, and putting your rod right up, I was thinking, should I do it here? But you said the water's a little bit...
It just looks like there's so much flow.
It's very turbulent.
They definitely like it, don't they?
They
I've just put a few little carp in my pond, and there's a pump in there, and it creates a bit of a flow, and they just love sitting in it,
Yeah.
I always joke with these ones, because you see them coming out of that next pipe along when the water's clear. I always joke that that's like their gym.
Yeah.
They go up there, right, whoever's last out's the pussy.
Yeah. It's crazy because some of the stretches of river I fish, when you get like the winter floods, they can rise sort of 6, 7, 8 foot. And you think, how the hell do they not get washed away? But they can fight that flow pretty easy. They find little slacks, but to them they just sort of sit in it and they move. They're used to swimming constantly, aren't they?
Whatever it is, it's definitely a magnet to them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Helicopters going over. It's not the most peaceful place, is it? You do get a lot of noise around it. If it's not next to the road, then it's police helicopters.
Walthamstow's definitely not. But yeah, it's quite quiet here down the 3. There's not many public people about. I know the gates close about 5, so I'd imagine a lot of the walkers and families are done for the day. But yeah, a couple of rods out, see a couple show. The wind was sort of trickling down here. And there was a little bit more activity then, but there's still carp out there.
I reckon there's every chance one of these is going to whiz off as we're sitting here. But in the meantime, obviously one of the reasons why we're here is because you messaged me and said you'd quite like to come on the show and kind of share your story a little bit, because you know we've talked about mental health and you know the benefits of fishing for it on Carp Angle, and yeah, something we kind of like to focus on. You've obviously noticed that, and yeah, fair play to you, mate, for messaging me and saying, you know, I'd like to come on the show.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. You got to think, it's been 4 or 5 years since I last seen you, and a lot's changed. A lot's changed in the world. We've had COVID-19, haven't we? In that time,
Yeah, you've had a son.
I've had a son. He's going to be 4 in March. So yeah, a lot's changed, and a lot of the aura. Is it aura? Well, there is a lot about mental health and fishing at the minute, isn't there? Like for the well-being, there's something I see that it's classed. Is it not classed as a therapy, but the doctors do agree with it being
I think
some
the
form
NHS
of
are kind of almost prescribing it now, you know.
Yeah, like getting out of the house, being at one with nature, you know, relaxation, that kind of thing. In my experiences, from what I've been through and suffered,
you had a little rough ride, didn't you, a year or two ago?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I had a rough ride. Sort of experienced some bad thoughts, some bad things. Still get them now, but you learn to deal with them. But fishing certainly carried me and helped me through that. Having a nice following and lots of lovely people supporting me as well. But I think the best thing and the main thing is to talk about it, because if I never spoke about it and didn't realise that it's actually not only me, because I think everyone who suffers with that thinks it's them and there's something wrong with them and they're different and they don't like that. But really, it's not just them. There's thousands of people out there that are suffering. But I just hope everyone can sort of see the light at the end of the tunnel and,
I mean,
you know,
it's
get out
exactly as you said it, mate. I mean, even the people who haven't sort of spoken about it, you know, there's been countless people I've spoken to the last 2 years who've been like, oh yeah, I had a bit of a burnout. And
yeah.
I had a bit of a down period, and you know, a bit of anxiety, a bit of stress, a bit of depression, you know, and like you say, it is very common.
Yeah.
And it's important to realise that it's almost just a part of modern day life these days, isn't it? You know, the pressures of modern day life, it's so full on, isn't it? You know, you're expected so much, and all the social media and everything else, you know, it can get on top of you sometimes.
It can. I remember I had a break a couple of years ago, just sort of during, just coming out of the first lockdown when things started to relax a bit and we was allowed to go out, do a little bit of fishing just for the day, wasn't it? I think at first we was allowed to go for the day. On certain places you weren't allowed to night fish, so I started to do that. And yeah, I felt a lot better, to be fair, in myself once I started to get out.
Because I remember speaking to you and I don't think you even fancied going at that point.
No.
A bit like myself, you know, you've always fished your whole life.
Yeah.
And so we took for granted for what the benefits fishing had for us.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we had a little break from it that we realised how, you know, beneficial it is for your kind of general well-being.
Yeah, because I've always been someone, Joe, I'll go when I want to go, and I'll have periods where I'm either doing something else or I'm too busy and fishing isn't at the top of my mind or the main priority. But where I had that break from social media and then the lockdown and stuff, and we was allowed to go out, I started to go out just with a little lure rod really and the dog on evenings, and started to find the love for it again, which that made me feel so great about myself, enjoying it and wanting to go and do it because I was enjoying doing it as well. Like I know sort of we're working in the industry, isn't it? And you feel like you're going fishing a lot and you might feel like you're not enjoying it at times, which I have in the past. But now I sort of go when I want to go, do you know what I mean? And do it, go on my own terms, and I stated that in a video before, and it sort of went down really well. And talking about my mental health, like you say, you've had people sort of approach you and message you since coming out with it, and talking about it on Carp Angle, and I had the same, so many messages. Massive paragraphs, you know, overwhelming stuff of people saying like you're really inspirational and that, so it's nice. It is nice to hear that from people. And maybe that might have been the first time I've ever said anything to someone, you don't know, and it might have been a message to me, like someone that they looked up to through fishing because that's what they love, that's their passion. yeah, being able to speak and interact with people, and yeah, there's some lovely people out there, but as long as everyone speaks about it, then yeah, things should be on the brighter side, I think.
Definitely. I mean, I think a lot of people feel they haven't got anyone to talk to about it. They might be scared to talk to the people they know about it because they might feel a bit embarrassed. But it was just kind of, it's natural for some people to feel like that. But sometimes it's good to have someone that you don't really know, isn't it, to talk to, And
Definitely.
I know when I was younger, I went to this therapist when I was at school. They sent me to a therapist. Can't even remember why now, to be honest with you. But it felt so good to just talk to someone who was non-judgmental and knew nothing about me, and it just didn't matter what I said to them, and it was really good to just get that out.
Yeah, I think, well, I went through a lot of therapy a couple of years ago, and it has been ongoing, but you start to sort of open your eyes, because there is always someone out there a lot worse off than what you are. And there's some people that really are struggling a lot deeper and darker than you are. So you've got to look at sort of the surroundings, what you have around you, and all weigh them up. I'm lucky enough, I've got a beautiful son, so that's really carried me and kept my feet firmly on the ground, something to keep you going.
Your missus is like a childhood sweetheart, aren't she? You've been with her since you were really young, haven't you?
15, so 23 now, long time. Being together, having a family, living together, but I'm still only young, 23, so I'm hoping there's a good few more years ahead of myself.
Mate, yeah, spring chicken. All right, well, you've also, I know recently I've seen it in social media, you've started your own pop-up.
Yeah.
How does that come about?
Well, I've worked helping out in the bait industry at a few companies for years, part-time as with my fishing, getting paid to go fishing, but that's not my full-time job, so I've always sort of balanced things out, so work part-time, fish, and sort of earn a normal wage. And yeah, I kind of had enough of being in a bad environment at work, and my health come a little bit before that, so I just decided to do my own thing, and yeah, been a lot happier. It's been great, earning probably more money.
So it's going well then, yeah?
So it's going well, yeah.
And what's in the range?
Well, I've got 3 hook baits based on what I've used over the years of my own angling, making my own little hook baits. I'm just doing pop-ups at the minute. A lot of my fishing sort of single hook baits, moving about, nicking a bite. So I base them all on that. Some great colours with my visual fishing. The washed out pinks goes way back to when I fished like the Coppermill stream. Knowing that them colours are colours that the carp sort of home in on. White's very good, like yourself. And a fish meal bait.
I've also, I'd smelt the candy berry.
Candy berries.
That was on my hands earlier, it smelled gorgeous.
Ester berries as well, which are like a ester blend, fruit palatant. They're great with a few essential oils and liquid and powdered sweeteners, all attractor baits. The Billingsgate is a food bait, but it's an attractor.
Billingsgate is good name.
Yeah, great name, isn't it? Yeah, great name. That's sort of a blend of 3 different fish flavours, essential oils and black pepper, some liver powder in there, and a really light pre-digested fish meal. But they're all attractor baits. I think that people often say like, oh, you always over-flavoured your pop-ups, like when my mates and stuff. I'd be like, well, they've got to suck it in to taste it, and by then it's too late.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff you'd buy in the tackle shop and or these flavours and stuff to make a bait is sort of generally, say you buy a bottle of flavour, it could be whatever per egg mix. That's for a food bait, isn't it? It doesn't tell you like for hook baits, does it? A lot of it's sort of for being done in food baits and the levels on the bottle. So I always highly flavoured my hook baits. That's the one you want the most attractive, really, isn't it?
Well,
like if you're eating something and it's very sickly, you're not going to eat it again, but you got to take one bite to taste it, ain't you? So
definitely, yeah.
That's the way I look at things. They've got to suck that hook bait in to realise whether they like it or not, flavour-wise. And to be fair, I've caught thousands and thousands of carp, so it's not like they don't like them.
No. Well, we used to soak them, like the pineapples, put neat pineapple flavouring in there afterwards, let them dry out, put a bit more in, let them dry out, and God, yeah, I mean,
take your breath away.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but caught so many fish on them. So,
Yeah.
like you say, it's not something to be scared of.
But it's something that's been done for years, isn't it? That sort of, them flavours have been going and going ever since carp fishing was first around, wasn't it? And all the bait making things. So if they weren't any good, they wouldn't still be catching carp today.
Well, they're proving a little bit tricky today, mate, aren't they?
Yeah.
Got
they
on
are.
them.
Got on them. Yeah, got on them down the end of the free. And yeah, it's proven a little bit tricky to get a bite. They're not massively showing though, are they?
No.
It's more bubbling up that we're seeing than shows. We've seen shows.
There's another, is that another button? That's that little bird,
Yeah,
dab
there's
chick.
little dab chicks ducking and diving about out there. But there's definitely been a few solid evidence shows that there's carp in the area, isn't there?
100%, yeah. Yeah, I still feel like one could go at any second, and that's obviously why we're still here, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is probably the best thing we got to go on at the minute, other than them few carp in the river and a few carp in the lower this morning. So we walked to the end of the river, didn't see much, did we? And yeah, walked up the causeway, looked kind of dead, and then come up here with a culvert being turned on, this other one, and there's a bit of action out there, so be rude not to.
100%, mate. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to speak to you about was your fishing these days. So, I mean, I think, like I say, we worked out it was about four years ago, didn't we, when I last saw you?
Yeah.
I mean, you must have fished most of the London lakes now, haven't you?
One down there, I don't know if that was a carp or a bream.
It was very splashy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, but quite a big splash if it was a bream.
But they are big bream in here, aren't they?
Yeah, so what's your, where you're targeting, what, obviously you don't have to name the names, but what sort of venues? I heard a little while ago, you know, maybe it was a few years ago, you were travelling out of London, weren't you?
Yeah, I was doing a little bit. I'd just passed my test, hadn't I? So I was driving about, doing a little bit in the Cotswolds and stuff on a few little lakes out there.
Nice to experience the real countryside?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Not just the little oasis within a concrete
Yeah,
jungle?
yeah, the relaxation and stuff, the solitude, and it's just lovely out there, isn't it? You can hear a pin drop at night, and that's something I'm not used to. But I probably would still be fishing out there on that certain venue. But I got a new car and I didn't want to scratch it on the old bumpy bramble bloody track. So yeah, I stopped going up there and focused on fishing down here. COVID was sort of about 2 years, wasn't it? So that we're sort of out of the game for a whole year. You think it's been 4 years since I've seen you. Yeah, got rid of my car, got a new car, and then got a little boat on the river.
Wicked.
So yeah, mainly just fished the rivers really.
That was like a whole new world for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, the thing is I've always dabbled on there, on and off. And there's always sort of talks of like big carp being in and around some of the waterways. And I'd never seen them myself, do you know what I mean? So there's always that mystery, but they could be anywhere. And it's sort of, I fish it off the bank, I'm not too bothered. I've grown up in and around the hustle and bustle, so that doesn't fear me or scare me to be just sitting on a canal towpath all night in the middle of London, worrying about people going past, because it doesn't faze me.
Balls of steel.
Yeah, well, you can't say balls of steel. Like, I've had boys pull big knives out on me down there and that.
Really?
Yeah, but it's all part and parcel of it. I didn't get the boat to get away from that. It was more just for the easy access and
Get into areas you wouldn't be able to get to.
into areas you wouldn't be able to get to, yeah, and sort of to obviously stop having to fish off the towpath as much and being comfortable, being able to get a kip. Because I used to pull all-nighters fishing on them towpaths, and you can't do many of them before it starts catching up with you.
No.
So with the boat, not that I get much sleep, I do manage to get my head down for a couple of hours now and then.
So yeah, that must have been pretty scary then, fishing them sort of places, you know? I don't think I'd fancy it.
Yeah, to be fair, it does. It would put a lot of people off. But you got to deal with it if you want to catch them carp, and you like your life.
So what, were they after your gear or something?
No, I was with a couple of mates, and one of them weren't really fishing, the other one fishes. We went down there, was driving about, said, oh, we'll fly down, I put a bit of bait in. So was putting a little bit of bait in. Boy come up behind me on a pedal bike, he said, oh, you got chip. He wanted to obviously roll a banger, so I was smoking cigarettes at the time. I said, here you go. My mate started walking off. 3 other boys all had balaclavas on and that. Couldn't see their faces, pulled up behind us, and one of them grabbed my mate. My other pal was near the car. Other one grabbed me, and then pulled a massive knife out. That was like a Rambo knife like that, like, what you doing? At first they did say about fishing, but I think like where we had no gear and stuff, they sort of thought, they didn't really understand it. And then they said, oh, one of their cousins got robbed or something. My mate had his phone and that, bit of money, offered it to them, they didn't want it. And then just sort of, yeah.
Wow.
Just
a bit of a mad
yeah,
one,
put the
wasn't it?
knife back down their trousers and sort of said, cool, spudded us and walked and fucking pedalled off. So yeah, it's obviously scary, do you know what I mean, with what goes on in this day and age and like all over the country. But yeah, no, I've done nights where they've come past and I'm sort of sitting there with my rods out and they don't even look at you. Yeah. They know you're fishing, they don't care. Like, if they knew how much your gear was worth, it might be a different story.
That's it, yeah.
Well, hopefully they don't find out.
The new adventure on the river then, do you think that'll keep you busy for a couple of years or something?
Yeah, it has, because it's always generating new fish, isn't it, a river system? There's always fish coming and going. I've caught fish out of that system that Terry Earn's caught up in, do you know what I mean, far west on the Thames. They've come all the way down into London, so it's mega. Like, they're always coming and going, fish going up sort of out towards the Lee Valley ways. They're sort of same fish that I've caught down here, and yeah, it's crazy. They're always moving. That's why I always think, like, them big uns that are supposed to be knocking about, you're fishing for myths, they might not even be in there. But you do obviously get resident fish, don't you? But it's long old sections and you can be occupied for years. There's a lot of small carp down this way. That's what I was saying to you earlier, wasn't it, Joe? I've caught a lot of them, and sometimes you just get sick of catching 15-pounders, even though I am that type of person that I love catching carp, as long as they're nice, and the ones I want to catch, I don't mind how big they are, but sometimes you think, wish I could do with something. It feels nice to catch a big one now and then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think this year I've had 4 30-pounders.
Keeps you going, doesn't it? The odd big one here and there.
Yeah, I've had a 30-pound
I'm the
common.
same actually. I haven't had any real big ones this year.
No,
Yeah.
I had 2 30s out of the river, a common and a mirror. And yeah, a couple out of some lakes, one out of a lovely reserve on the Worms. So.
Oh, that's the one on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good video. That.
Yeah, great video. So I've had
Cracking old character as well.
Yeah, mental one. He was really wide and short.
So did you know about that fish then?
No, never been caught before.
Wow.
As far as I'm aware. Me and my friend always spoke about it. He said to me, there's bloody carp in there, I've seen them show, and he had just started really, not carp, he had been carp fishing a year or two, but he was mainly a pike angler growing up, and he said, yeah, I've been watching them show. I'm like, are they definitely carp? Because where he's new to it, he said, I'm telling you, they're bopping out all over the place. It's only a small family of carp in there, but obviously they was having a nice display that morning. He was up working on the scaffolding overlooking the lake, so yeah, ended up sticking the drone up when he bought one and sort of found the carp, and yeah,
Nice.
went from there.
It's great, isn't it, to know that there's still them sort of places out there and still fish that haven't seen a hook.
Yeah, there still are. You got to look hard enough. You got to put a little bit of effort in as well. You know, there's you unless it's solid. Like, there was no chance that they'd ever been caught before there. If I'm proved wrong, I'm proved wrong. But the unknown and rarity of carp that don't see the bank often is what sort of keeps me going.
Mate, that red one you caught there a couple of years ago, was that 3 years now?
A couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, just after the lockdown, wasn't it?
What a carp.
Mega carp, that one. Mega carp. Got caught a couple of times after by a few pals.
But were you the first one to catch that you knew of, or like?
No, a fella caught it. I mentioned it to him and he went down there and caught it before me in the lockdown.
That's right.
But yeah, that's he caught that. But my matey Chris, he was lure fishing, and he actually said to me he see it chase a lure in, but he said a big red common, but it's obviously a mirror, and it was on the hit list anyway to do a bit of predator fishing in and around that sort of neck of the woods. And yeah, I just said to matey, like, I knew he knew about it because he had predator fished there. I said, oh, I'm gonna walk the dog because I had just got a puppy then down there, and I knew he knew about it. And yeah, he went down there and had him, but lovely fish. Yeah, mega old one. God knows where that come from. 2 carp in there, a little common, and then that old dinosaur.
Yeah, it sounded like quite a cool little story as well. You know?
Yeah.
It didn't come to it that easily, did it? Or not straight away?
Not straight away. It was a very funny one. I know matey caught him on bread off the surface, I'm sure, Tom. And I was sort of stalking him and around. He sucked in my bread a couple of times, and he definitely knew that something weren't quite right. Once they get caught once
bitten, twice shy.
That's it, yeah. It can be tricky. But it come good in the end. I knew like the day was right, you know, when you just know. And I went down there, made the effort to go down there. And I was actually going through a really rough stage in my life at the time. But yeah, I was starting to find a love, and it really gave me the buzz, you know, just phone off, not on social media at that time, like we spoke earlier, and just went there and got the deal done. And it was just nice to get that feeling, you know, of looking in the net.
They don't come much better than that, do they? It's so original and unique as well. Like,
Yeah.
Never seen one like that sort of tone.
No, God knows what strain that is. I wouldn't even be able to tell you. Just proper carp, as we call them, innit?
Yeah, well, you've certainly got a knack of sniffing them out, mate, so I'm sure there'll be a few others popping up in the future that you managed to find.
Yeah, you'd think so. Like, I do a lot of my fishing now on the quieter places. Even the rivers and stuff, they're getting a lot busier. There's a lot more faces, and I've had to do things to get around anglers, fish just nights, because everyone's too scared to do nights down there. So people don't see me, and it's not really how fishing should be, is it, Joe? Shouldn't be having to bait and sneak around at night because other anglers are gonna sort of jump on them zones that you're fishing because they know you're not fishing there for no reason, don't they? So that's a shame. So this day and age, I tend to fish the bigger, very low stock sort of gold mine pits. If you catch one, it's a megalodon, but
sort of places
the bites come once every couple of years.
A lot of people haven't got the, you know, like the time or the inspiration to go through get the results on those sort of lakes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. But the efforts are there, you know. And carp don't live forever. Like a really nice one that caught a couple of years ago was found dead this year. It's just, even them places where the carp are left alone, they soon sort of die out, don't they? That was a shame. But yeah, there's sort of venues I sort of try and target now. Not really about the fish, like I said, just nice quiet places with nice carp. They don't have to be massive. But I am hoping one day one of them river giants pop up.
Awesome. Well, Alfie, it's been a thoroughly enjoyable day, mate. Thanks for inviting me down to have a day with you.
You're welcome. Shame that we didn't catch carp today, but I'm sure there's going to be a next time.
Awesome, mate. Yeah, well, I definitely look forward to that. But like I say, it's been an enjoyable day anyway, and we've clocked up a few steps, haven't we, mate? So it's been a healthy one.
Oh God, yeah. We fished the river, the lower, the free. And in a whole, I don't think the complex is fishing well at the minute. There's not been much caught today, if anything. So yeah, it's not the best conditions, been very high pressure, but we've done all we could have done. Got on fish on every single opportunity we've had on each lake and the little river, so haven't done nothing to not catch one. I guess luck maybe just wasn't on my side today. But yeah, it's been great.
Awesome. All right, indeed. Well, yeah, best of luck with everything, and we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
Top man, I'll get this horrendously bright light out of your eye.
It's all right. We'll whip these in. We've only got about 15 minutes till the gate closes, so we'll be sprinting back to the gate.
Nice one,
Nice
mate.
one, Joe. Thank you.
Right, advice for fishing and life in general. Well, I've been around quite a long time now, way over half a century, and I've had quite an interesting life, to say the least. Not all good, not all bad. So I'm speaking as a veteran. I personally speaking, I never knew what I wanted to do when I went to school. I knew I was like the great outdoors, but I could never settle on planning my future to that degree. I wanted my childhood, and it wasn't all about how I'm going to make money when I left school and go to college or university or anything like that. A lot of people seem to have all the life programmed in from the parents from being a very early age, especially the pushy parents that want you to be a big hitter on the financial scene and all the rest of it. But I think if you want to do a job that's related to fishing or something of that nature, there's nothing to stop you doing it. You know, very few of us end up in one job for all of your life, and the worst thing of all is getting in a rut, being in a job where you get a certain amount of salary that you think that you need to survive, and then you can't get out of that. You have kids and family and mortgage and all the rest of it, and you're kind of trapped. So I think I wouldn't be in any rush to jump into some kind of a career where you're kind of trapped if you don't quite like it. Because I've seen a lot of people, they're willing the life away. They're waiting for that fortnight's holiday in Spain or something like that, and the rest of their life is crap, basically, pretty mundane. And they're just willing it away for that little holiday or that, and you know, for 2 weeks, twice a year. So basically, the other 11 months are a drudgery, apart from weekends and stuff like that. So I always wanted to opt out of that kind of mindset and thing. And only when I really decided, when I was younger, when I decided I wanted to make a living from fishing, it was almost unheard of. There's very few people doing it. But if you want something bad enough, you can do it. You really can do it. And it's just not taking no for an answer, you know. And I kind of think that people only think about the UK as well. I think that there's lots of opportunities in Europe and further afield for doing these kind of things. It probably doesn't make that much sense what I'm saying. It's because I'm probably advising you to be a free spirit and explore everything. I mean, life is too short as it is, but I think a lot of people are too quick to sort of burden themselves with all this stuff. I say to my kids, don't be in any rush to do any of this, you know, enjoy your life. You know, you work to pay for a lifestyle, but if your lifestyle's not what you want and you work all the time, you soon get pissed off with it and upset. So I think it applies to fishing as well. Most people just don't get enough fishing. You know, they love fishing and they're trapped by work. So set your sights a bit lower on your earning needs and that, and try and get a job where you've got as much free time as possible. You know, and if you're an artistic person, really go down that route, and don't compromise your natural abilities if you've got any. You know, if you're particularly good at something and you love it, what's better than working doing that one thing that you really love? Or it might be a number of things, but if you get a job where you're working, doing something you love, it isn't work any longer, is it really? If you love it, it's almost like getting paid for something pleasurable. So don't be in a rush to get tied down. Really spend some time getting your perfect scenario and your perfect job and or lifestyle, because money's not everything. You know, we all need money, of course we do, but it's, you know, I kind of never planned for the future, for being an older man with a pension or any of that. I thought I'd probably be dead then. I didn't plan on being this bloody age. So I've not probably got a pot to slash in, but I've had an amazing life. If I died tomorrow, I've had a life that people can only really dream about, you know. And not just from the fishing, you know, racing super bikes and doing everything I always wanted to do, you know. I had a devil-may-care sort of attitude, and it's been great, you know, because my dad, he travelled all over the world in the Royal Navy, and he says, I think you've had a much better life than me. He says, bloody fishing, going abroad, living it up with your mates and doing all this, but I still managed to bring a family up and, you know, and sustain the other part of life, and I've managed this. So if I can do it, I'm sure some of you guys can do it. So don't settle for no, just go for what you want. So that's my advice.
Well, sadly no birthday carp for Joe as of yet. However, it has been a gorgeous start to the day. Stunning sunrise, lovely mist dancing across the lake. So yeah, another day on planet Earth. That's enough of a gift for anyone really, isn't it? Without sounding too cheesy. There's been a few shows, most of them out of range, but I did see one sort of actually 30 yards back this way from where I'm fishing, with a little bit of bubbling as well. So there's fish in the vicinity. I've just got to try and catch one. There's going to be a new wind today, a bit of a southwesterly, not too strong, but I think that'll probably move them about. It's going to be warm and sunny. So yeah, it is all about daytime bites on here, or mostly. Say that I've had 3 night bites this year already, but just fingers crossed really. The boats are going to be out, but that's not always a bad thing. I think that kind of gets the fish moving about, probably drops them down in the water, and yeah, there's often bites when the boats are out, so hopefully we've got a chance of a birthday carp yet. Well, unfortunately, the carp gods haven't been kind enough to provide a carp for me yet on my birthday. Hasn't been a great deal going on out here today, but I'm just hoping that they're back out here tomorrow morning. Like I say, they didn't really turn up here this morning that much. There was a couple of shows, but the day before there was loads of shows, and that was the same actually last Saturday and the Saturday before. So something about Saturday mornings, they you know, seem to be pretty active. So on Sunday mornings, the opposite. So I reckon they're going out on Saturday nights, hitting the bars large, and then having a lay-in on Sunday mornings. So we'll see if they're up early tomorrow. Anyway, it's been a very pleasant day, regardless of the lack of activity. After saying about, you know, my girlfriend getting those strawberries delivered to me that time, and there was fat chance of anything like that happening, I've been bought a lovely looking Belgian chocolate fudge cake from a guy called Darren, who I only met yesterday. He also bought me a pack of 4 Stellas. Not really a drinker, but the universe says have a couple of beers on your birthday. Who am I to argue? I've not had one yet, by the way. And then Steve, aka Crazy Steve, and also known as Semo, bought me this 5 decorate your own gingerbread people. Now that is a cool gift, isn't it? I haven't got around to it today, but I think tomorrow I'll see what I can do with that. Get a bit creative and funky, hopefully, whilst celebrating catching a big carp. Aside from that, he also bought me a scratch card, which I've got a £2 win on, so I'll buy a lottery ticket with that and hopefully win the lottery. Yeehaw! And a couple of birthday cards from my mum and my brother and Bill, so yeah. Very pleasant day. It's been a long one, to be honest with you. I was up before 5 o'clock and been looking at the water all day and chatting and bits and pieces, so I'm looking forward to an early night. I'm going to be up again at the crack of dawn. Old dawn's crack. Up dawn's crack. And hopefully we're going to catch one. Oh yeah, let's have a beer then. I've got steaks on the go ready as well. Look, steak baguette. Oh, I say on the go, I turned it off because the cooker was making quite a lot of noise for the camera. Cheers, 38. Can't believe it myself. It's all right as it goes. Well, yesterday I got itchy feet, packed up, had a little look over the meadow. I was to jump on the back of the wind because there was a big old wind yesterday, and it was that big I thought even if they're on the end of it in the morning, they're not going to be later on. However, I thought, no, you've got to focus on your prize. Don't be bottling out that quickly, you know. And I'm glad I did. I moved 2 swims further down to where I was the night before and had this absolutely mega fish at about 4 o'clock this morning. Look at that, absolutely mega carp. Never seen a picture of this one. Don't know how old it is, but it looks like it's doing extremely well in its long reach home. Made up with that. Really have put the effort in for this one. Yeah, put the effort in and you should get the rewards, and don't give up. And the weather was mental last night, 40-mile-an-hour winds. Thankfully, sensible Joe chose to get on the back of the wind, so it was lovely and cosy, and managed to catch a carp too. Happy days. Well, I'm still buzzed up with that one. Obviously not a big one, but what a mega creature. Weather looks bang on still as well. I'd love to be staying another night, but unfortunately I agreed to do a Nash podcast this week. Bad timing really, but there you go. No, I'm looking forward to it actually. It'll be nice to chew the fat with old Hassan. What we got to report, yeah, ducks have still been hanging around me constantly, and little observation. Obviously you've got the others constantly trying to get hold of his missus, and he's trying to shoo them off. But what I realise, and I feel very sorry for them, is they haven't really got a lot going for them when it comes to having a scrap, have they? You know, you look at the old coots, sharp beak, sharp claws, chickens, sharp claws, sharp beaks, ducks, rounded beak, big floppy feet, no claws. They just don't stand a chance, do they? So yeah, I do feel sorry for him. It's like round the clock, all day and night, he's having to chase other fellas off his bird, which is just out of order really, isn't it? Anyway, right, like I say, the conditions are mega. I am going to drag it out most of the day just because, well, it looks like there's every chance of another bite. So I think what I'll do is, before I leave, I'll put a little bit of bait out, and then I'm going to try and get back tomorrow night for a couple of nights, because I think that'll be all I'll be able to get up for a little while. Well, you know, a couple of weeks or so. It's obviously prime time, but I've got to do some carp angle stuff too. And yeah, little birthday celebrations this weekend, which have been made a little bit better by that carp, but would be made even more better by the friendly or starburst appearing today. We can only dream. Well, it's an absolutely stunning morning, and I'm stood by a beautiful lake with the rods out, so all must be well in the world. For this month's main feature, I've come up to the Nene Valley, or the Nen Valley, whatever you want to call it, and we are on the awesome Ecton complex. I've come here to meet up with a good friend, Jamie Klossick. He's also here with a friend of his who's a DJ, a very well-known DJ actually, extremely successful. So yeah, I've actually got quite a few of his tracks. and I'm looking forward to picking his brains and hearing a bit about his DJ life. Aside from that, we'll be trying to catch a carp or two. At the moment, we're on the lake known as Glebe, which is, I think it's the smallest lake on the complex, or one of the smallest. These boys have been here the last few nights, so I got here sort of just on dusk last night, so it was a little bit of a palaver to get the rods out before it got dark, but I'd found myself a couple of nice spots. Not had anything yet. In fact, the lake is super quiet, and indeed it sounds like it's been like that for the last few days, so yeah, we're going to give it a good go. We've got the whole complex to play with, so I'm sure I'll be going on a few little adventures, looking around the other lakes, trying to find an opportunity or two. But for now, I'm going to lap up this gorgeous morning, crack on the kettle, have a nice coffee, and hopefully we'll get a bite. That's better. Right, so Glebe Lake, quick rundown. It's kind of a game of two halves really. Two different main bowls joined by a long channel. And the channel's very shallow, quite a lot of weed in it. Not many spots, to be honest with you. But speaking to Jamie, like I say, they've been here 3 nights, I think, and they've not actually seen one fish show. They've not seen the slightest inkling of any bubbling or any activity at all, really, which is quite crazy. But I actually spoke to a friend who fished here many years ago when there was even less fish in here, and he said it was the same then. He said they just didn't really show in here much, which is a bit weird, isn't it? And not ideal for me, because I really do rely on fish giving me signs to tell me what to do. But yeah, I think it's gonna brighten up this morning and then probably rain again a bit later. So I'm gonna have a little mooch around this morning. One thing I always like to do when I get to a new lake is have a look in the margins, you look at all the overhangs, and you can get a good idea of which ones they're using. And yesterday, obviously I got here quite late, but I had a little look and there's hardly any spots along this bank under the, in the margins and under the overhangs. So that suggests to me that they don't do a huge amount of feeding along here. There's lots of overhanging trees on the far bank, some big ones too. So I presume they probably use them more than they do this side. From what we can gather, it is mostly about the margins in this lake. I couldn't find any spots on this margin. However, on the far side over there, I've got one just to the left of some pads. It's kind of on a clean slope, and then the left-hand one is just off a weed bed, big old weed bed that hits the surface. I had about 50-60 casts around that area, more than I would have liked to, that's for sure. But yeah, I did manage to find a nice sort of silty, smooth silty area, which seemed like the perfect kind of ambush point on the edge of that channel. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with my spots and how I'm fishing. I didn't put much bait out. I just put like 3 spoms of a bit of hemp, a few maggots and a few boilies, and then I just put a single pop-up over the top of that. But yeah, like I said, it is a lovely morning, and although the carp action is non-existent at the moment, I think there's a good chance that one of us will have one. We've got 9 rods out between us. So yeah, I'm sure we've got lots of spots covered. There's a couple of 40s in here, from what I can gather, and a fair few others as well. I think about 10 30s. So yeah, some really cracking fish. But this complex has got some mega carp on it. It used to be run by Alan Taylor, absolutely lovely fella, who was in the carp fishing world for many years. Made a film called Ton Up at Lac du Deux many moons ago. I'm not sure what the year was, but yeah, you can actually watch that on YouTube, and it's insane, the session they had on Chantico, fishing in the mud, absolutely hauling monsters. But yeah, anyway, Alan was a fantastic angler and a really nice guy. Sadly, he passed away a couple of years ago, I think. But his son has taken over the complex and he's running it for him. So yeah, he's very proud of what his dad's achieved and he wants to continue that. So fair play to you, Luke. We're going to meet him later on. But yeah, for now, hopefully, one of these rods is going to rattle off soon. Come on, you carp. Well, we're just coming up to about 10 AM now. Still no signs. There's been the odd coot diving on my bait and they haven't shown any signs of spooking at all. So yeah, I don't think anything's been visiting the areas. Like I said, apparently they don't show much on here, which isn't really good for me. I need my signs. And we've got a whole complex of lakes here that I can go and have a little mooch on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind these in, pop round, see Jamie, see if them boys have had anything, and then I reckon go on the hunt. I'm going to take with me a few bits and pieces. I'm not actually going to take any rods on me. I'm hunting to find them more than actually fish for them right now. But hopefully I can yeah, come across a few carp, prime up a few areas and give myself a couple of options for the next few days. So next down here for probably 3 nights. So we've got plenty of time, there's no rush. But bite time on here has been told is 11 till 2. So obviously I could sit it out with a chance of catching one. However, I've got the buzz to go mooching. And it's a beautiful day. It's lovely and sunny, which it wasn't meant to be. It was going to be drizzly today. So yeah, going to take advantage of that, make hay whilst the sun shines, go and see if I can find a few carp. Superstar DJ, here we go. Oh, fly me here. Get out of it. Oh, sorry, I killed you, didn't I? Right, we've come down to the far end of the lake. Luke popped down earlier, the guy who runs it, and after speaking to him and seeing some of the fish that were in here and hearing some of the stories, yeah, it definitely whetted my appetite for another night on the glebe. So it also put me onto a little clear spot on the edge down here. I hadn't actually walked down to this far end, but I put a few maggots on it earlier on. Not many, just like probably 2 palmfuls. And that's one of the good little tips that I can offer you, to be honest with you, is baiting up with small amounts of maggots on lakes where there's not lots of small fish in. You don't need a lot, if you put loads in, you're just ruining it for everyone, but you literally don't need many at all, just a few here and there. And what I like to do is put them under bushes or in little corners, and then that's a way of knowing whether the fish are visiting that area without having to be there looking all the time. Obviously sweet corn's another good one because it's very visual, stands out and you can see whether it's gone or not. Anyway, the water has a bit of the old May fluff on it at the moment, and the visibility is not quite as good as it was earlier on, but it does look like all the maggots, or not all the maggots should I say, are left. So it could be a chance one's visited, and there is a little tree here right next to the spot. So I'm going to crack on up this tree, give it 5 minutes watching down in this margin and see if anything's mooching about. Stunning day. I absolutely love these days with these big clouds, what are they called, cumulonimbus or something like that. I don't know, whatever, but yeah, very impressive. And then when you've got the bright blue in between them as well, it's mega cool. Yeah, I could sit there looking at these clouds all day long, but I've got fish to catch, so eyes on the prize, Morgan, eyes on the prize. Well, this morning I woke up fairly early, had a few bleeps in the night, but I think that was just small fish pecking at the maggots that I'd tipped my hook baits off with. So yeah, I just wasn't happy sitting there hoping that some fish might be about, but also you kind of, after fishing for so long, you get a feeling when lakes are switched on and switched off, and you just can see from the signs that you're getting, and there's no bubbling going on up there, very little showing. So to me that says that the fish are not doing a lot, certainly not feeding a great deal. So yeah, you could probably waste quite a lot of time doing that. That's not my style. So today I got on my toes, had a good hunt around the complex. It was really nice exploring it actually, because they're really good sized lakes, interesting lakes, especially this one that's behind me, behind these bushes, should I say, which is called Jigsaw Lake. I think it's about 16 acres, but I might be wrong there. And there's some good fish in here, but by all accounts, it's a very hard lake. I think you do very well to have like 15 fish out of here in a season. So to catch one out of here in a night or two, it's a tall order, a very tall order. Anyway, Jamie and James had a little pack up as well this morning. They went to a hotel, had a shower, how the other half live? I had a little wash in the margins. No, they've been down here for 5 nights, so yeah, they needed it. So yeah, they've come back with a nice fresh mindset, and they've moved on to Jigsaw as well. We got a little bit of information off of one of the regulars who said there's an area where the fish have been holding up a bit, and I think it's done a couple of fish as well. So they've gone in there, they've got a good view for the morning, and I'm actually on the opposite bank to them, and I found a little area. I've done a lot of hunting around today and looking in the edges, and one thing I always look for, as I mentioned before, is the polished off areas under bushes, and that gives you a good idea of whether fish are visiting certain areas. So if you can apply a little bit of bait into them as well, then keep an eye on them. Like I say, whether them fish are in that area at that time. So I've found myself a very naughty looking spot. It's just on the edge of a channel which is behind an island. There's a couple of snags in the vicinity, but there's a nice open area and a big clear spot. So I put a couple of handfuls of maggots on there, done a lap of this lake, and then had a look on the main lake, came back to here, and it looked like some of the maggots are gone, but I can't actually see the bait on the spot because the water's got a bit of colour in it, and I couldn't see the stones on the spot to start with. I could just see that it's glowing down there, but I had put some maggots in an area, a darker area, and they seemed to be gone. So I went to climb up a tree, and then there was a big disturbance to my left, like a lot of water. Something shot out, and I'd say either a big pike or a big carp, but my gut instinct says a carp, just by the amount of water that moved and the size of the ripples that were moving out across that bay. So I think there's a good chance this is one of their little areas where they like to sit. They're certainly keeping it clean. So I'm just going to fish here with one rod tonight behind this bush. Terrible view, but yeah, I'm going to just drop a little bag onto that spot that I've already baited up. Sit here as quietly as I can, get a really early night because I've had a banging headache all day long, and fingers crossed we can have one of these mega special old rare carp from Jigsaw Lake. Come on, universe, what you got for us? Right, before I get this rod out, I just thought I'd show you quickly what I'm using. Usual old Morgan solid bag rig, size 4 wide gape Kamakura, little 8mm mainline pop up. It's a hybrid one, that one, topped off with half a dozen maggots. And then there's only a little short 3.5 inches of 25-pound soft braid, bit supernatural. And then a big bad boy 5-ounce flat pair, which is going to absolutely nail them. Slightest malving of that hook bait and they're going to be in trouble. I've got a length of leg core on here as well, probably about 4.5 foot of that on there, and a leg clip so that that big lead just drops off nice and easily on the bite. I'm actually quite hopeful about this spot, just because these kinds of areas where you've got a one rod option, not the sort of spots that get fished out often. People want to put 3 rods out, 3 different spots, or just have more chances. But sometimes you only need one chance, and these rare little spots that don't get fished that much can be a game changer. Let's hope they are, because I would love to catch one of these carp out of here. Right, medium-sized solid bag and a load of maggots, and we're going to drop that in. Let's have it. Good morning. Well, it's about 5 o'clock and the sun has just come up. There's been some absolutely stunning colours in the sky. I just love being up before the sun at this time of year. Unfortunately, I haven't got a brilliant view of the lake, but the good news is I've got a carp. Oi, oi. Yeah, it's not a big one, it's one of the stockies, but over the moon, massive, massive buzz. Just probably about 40 minutes before first light. Biddy! Shot out, got the old rod. Yeah, proper little nutter. Got it in the net fairly easily after it had a bit of a scrap close in. But yeah, first jigsaw carp, and on the first night on here. I've just been looking through the Instagram page at some of the fish in here, some absolute bangers. I think there's 2 or 3 40s maybe, but quite a lot of 30s and quite a lot of upper 30s as well, but some really, really cool carp. So hopefully there's a chance of another bite yet. Exciting stuff. And there we go. Like I said, not a big carp, but a big, big result. Well chuffed with this little fella. Absolute stunner. I reckon there's a good chance it might be a VS fish. I'd have to check that with Luke later, but yeah, as well as the old ones that are in here, they've got some lovely fish for the future, like this. Absolute stunner. Well chuffed. Oh, he's a male, this one. He's got his spawning tubercles. Like I said yesterday, I did spook something in here that moved a lot of water. I reckon it was a big fish. And it looks like it could be a daytime area as well. So I'm going to sit it out for the morning, and then maybe we'll go over to Clover and have a little go over there and try and catch up with the boys at some point. Bloody hell. I was just having pictures with this one, and the rod's gone. So I've run down the margins to where the spot is with this in the sling, popped this in the water, grabbed the rod, just had a mental old tussle. Oh, I'm shaking. I'm all over the show. We have got a scaly banger. Absolutely mega, mega carp. Exactly what I come here for. Oh, I'm absolutely buzzed up over the bloody moon. Right, let's get this little one back. And I'll show you the other one. Typical that was. I've been sitting there for about an hour or so since first light thinking, right, I should do them pictures, but I was like, oh, what if that rod goes? It's too hairy to be, off the rod when it goes and to be dealing with a fish at that time. So I put it off, and in the end I thought, no, come on, let's get it done. And then, yeah, done the bit of filming with it, just having a couple of pictures, and then that rod's gone. Typical. Anyway, bundled it up in a sling, chucked it in the water, and had a little tussle with that fish, managed to get it in fairly easily. And yeah, we'll see that one in a minute, but I've got the rod back out now. Like I say, I think this is a special little spot, this one. I'm sure it's the sort of spot that you could only catch so many off, but if it's one that doesn't get fished much, then if there's different fish coming into the area, doing laps of the lake, turning up and finding a bit of bait on the spot, then each different group of fish, I think I've got a chance of nailing one, but obviously they're all going to be starting to put their whole vibes out once you do hook them from here, so I might even be better off just putting some bait in, leaving the rod out and let them come in and have another feed, get them confident in that area. But I'm not here, for a long time, so I think I'm just going to fish in the moment and make the most of it. I think there's every chance that I could have another bite off this spot. I never do. There's a good chance it could be one of these big girls. Well, not quite as big as I thought, but look at this for a mega cool carp. Just under 17 pounds, super epic, scaly dinosaur. Exactly what I come here for. Wasn't worried about the size, just wanted to catch one of these lovely old specimens, should I say. And he certainly is one. What a character. Looks like it's probably another, oh no, maybe not actually. Oh yeah, I think he has got spawning tubercles, just fat. Thought for a second there he's got a bit of a gut, might be eggs, but no, I reckon this one just been on the munch lately. Super cool colours as well. Those scales, just absolutely unreal. Right, gonna get a couple of quick snaps, get him back, and I think there's every chance we could have another bite out of this spot today. And I think the next one could be a whacker. Awesome. Well, mega scaly carp. Thank you for your visit. And don't go back in there, go that way. And don't tell your mates that I'm here, please.
Well, over the years I've had many carping calamities, one of which was, beyond everything else. And I was fishing down at a lake in the Calm Valley that I was a member of, a day ticket lake. And I was down there in the winter and it was days only lake and it was a big pit. So I'd walked all the way up there with minimum amount of gear, got right up to the other end where the fish were I expected them to be. And what I'd done is I started to just put my pop up in the edge, and as I was putting my pop up in the edge, it was like a big wooden sleeper, and it obviously slippery, it was wet in the winter, and my boot slipped and I went straight head first into 6 foot of water, which was just straight off the rod tip pretty much, and I got absolutely soaked to, I come up and I was shivering, and I got out of the water and I was laughing to myself, but I really gutted that I'd ruined my fishing trip, because I was down there all day and I was on a bit of a roll as well at the time. I was having fish, so I was absolutely gutted that my session was ruined. Because it was winter, I took my sleeping bag with me and my bed. So what I've done is I got my rods out in the end and just got in my sleeping bag and just laid there sort of no clothes on, and decided to get my cooker going and dry my clothes out on the back of the cooker. So I was there all morning with my cooker going and using all my gas up, getting me clothes, and that was until it all caught on fire. All my clothes, which were up in my brolly ribs, and which were all sort of tied on with bits of fishing line and that, so it was like a big washing line I'd made, the whole lot of it gone up. And I couldn't move any of it out of the way as well because it was all tied. So I had these like strings of fire on the end in my bivvy. So I've come running out the bivvy as quick as I could and, kick the bivvy and try to put everything out like you did. But that was the dilemma now. I was out in the middle of nowhere with no clothes and nothing, just my sleeping bag. So luckily, a couple of lads local, I phoned them up and they come down and brought me some clothing so I could get back decently, but that was a bad day. And after that as well, I caught the worst cold ever. That trip, the worst cold, and I was away from fishing and nothing. That was the end of my winter campaign.
Well, that's it for episode 15. But before I go, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to all of those who sent feedback last month. Obviously putting that show out on my own, I was a little bit worried before it went out, but I had some great feedback, and it's given me the confidence to move forward with the project as I am, and yeah, help put a little spring in my step. So thank you for that. Also, a big thanks to those who've sent in contributions over the last month or so. Don't normally mention this on the show, but anyone who puts in £5 or more goes into a draw, and we've got £1,000 worth of mainline bait to give away. So we'll split that into 2 different prizes. So if you fancy winning 500 quid's worth of mainline bait, all you've got to do is make a contribution of £5 or more to the carpangle@gmail.com, and you'll be in that draw as well. Awesome. Right, well, hope you have a lovely month, and yeah, thanks again for the support. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment if you've enjoyed it. And also, if you don't want to contribute financially, that's absolutely fine, but if you could just give it a little share on your social media, all that helps with algorithms and what have you. Awesome. We'll see you in 4 weeks. Easy now.